Hi everyone, it's Katie. This is a bit of an update video. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a new series I have planned for the channel, and also a little bit about why I've decided to start this series now. This has been a series that I've been thinking about for quite a while. It was an idea I had maybe 4 or 5 months ago, but I guess I just wasn't in the right frame of mind to be doing it. I didn't really feel like it was the right time for me to really be delving into that sort of stuff just yet. But my mood has been quite low the past week or so. But I've had some really great support from a lot of you within the community, and I really thank you for that. And someone kind of reminded me of this idea for this series that I had, and I think that it's almost that I need to go through this stuff again. And so I thought it would be a really great time to relearn for myself and give you guys some tips on how I use tarot for my mental well-being. I've spoken a lot about how healing tarot has been for me in my mental health recovery and the journey to kind of rediscover myself and get my life back on track, and just really tapping into my emotional landscape and learning how to navigate that. Tarot has been really important in that process, and I've often spoken about tarot as a healing tool for me, but I don't think I've really spoken, at least at great length, about how I actually have done that and what tools and what spreads and what exercises that I use the tarot for, specifically, that do offer me that healing and direction that I need. So some of these might not be completely revolutionary ideas and tips, but I do want to share them. One, because I talk all the time about tarot being a healing tool for me, but I haven't really shared how that is. But also because I think sometimes when we are struggling, it can be really hard to think outside of our own experience to establish different strategies and exercises and tools that we can use. Even ones that are already established, we can forget about them in the moment when we need them. So I thought if I kind of had a few videos about what we can use tarot for when we're struggling emotionally or psychologically, that might be useful to some people, and I think it's certainly going to be useful to me. I'll also be talking about the different decks that I use for this work. I mean, you can use absolutely any deck that you're drawn to, or that you have. If you only have one deck, that's fine. For me personally, I have heaps of decks to choose from, and some decks I feel are more conducive to certain types of work for me and my experience. So I'll be sharing those as well. But if you only have one deck, that's fine. If the decks that I have you don't have or don't resonate with, that's fine. You need to use what you have in the way that feels best for you. And I guess to kind of introduce that series, which I really hope you guys will enjoy and get something out of, I did want to kind of just do the disclaimer thing, because I don't really want to do it at the start of every video. I want to make it clear that this is all coming from the experience of a consumer of mental health services, as somebody who has experienced mental illness herself. I've stated before, I have bipolar disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. I've also struggled with substance abuse and a couple of other minor things, but those are kind of the big things that I've dealt with. And through my journey, the biggest thing that's helped me in terms of services that I've used would be DBT, Dialectical Behavioral Therapy. It's a somewhat newer therapy. It's based on CBT, which is another one that I've done, but with a big focus on mindfulness. So a lot of the stuff that I'll be talking about will be very influenced by my experience of DBT, as well as CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a little bit more standard. It really focuses on how our thoughts and emotions play together, that our thoughts lead to certain emotions, and that our emotions can encourage certain thought processes and then lead to certain behaviors. And so if we can kind of step into any one of those 3 elements of that triangle in order to change the whole process. That's kind of a really basic idea of what cognitive behavioral therapy is about. I've also done narrative therapy, which is a really interesting and powerful therapy system. I did it specifically for self-esteem issues, but I think it's a really useful thing to bring in. And basically the idea is that we can use story to either alter certain patterns of thinking and believing, or to reinforce more positive ones. I've also done some ACT, which is acceptance commitment therapy, which is more about that acceptance that needs to come in, accepting how we're feeling and being mindful of our thoughts and feelings. I've also done a bit of art therapy, which was also really liberating, I guess would be a good word for that. But I want to make it really clear that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not any of those things. I'm a consumer of the mental health industry and services. I also want to make it clear that everything I'm going to share with you, not only is it just my personal experience and opinions, I really think it's important to remember that if you need professional help, this in no way replaces it. For me personally, I've continued this professional help that I've been accessing for a very long time. I have no intention of stopping that anytime soon. It's important for my well-being and safety. But this is just things that kind of keep me going in between appointments and kind of empower me to start looking at this stuff on my own without a therapist. All of that stuff, it just supports me. It's another tool to add to my little toolkit, as they like to say. But if you need professional help, this doesn't replace it, and I'm not trying to say that it does. It's just really important to me that I'm not removing any autonomy from anyone, or you're not handing me over any of your autonomy through my sharing. Take what resonates, experiment, discard what doesn't work for you. That's all okay. I also want to remind you that I will probably be sharing personal experiences. And whenever I've come to a conclusion for myself, I want to make it clear that I'm not placing that judgment or conclusion onto you. So if I say something about my illness, my experience, that doesn't sound right for you, I'm not placing a judgment on you and your experience. I'm making a conclusion that helps me frame and understand my experience. So I don't want to go on too much about all this. Most of it's common sense, but I'll just feel a little bit better knowing that I've expressed it explicitly. So I really hope you'll join me in this little journey to explore the different ways in which tarot can be a really powerful tool, an empowering tool in our journey to mental wellness and the maintenance of our mental wellness. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, especially if you have any questions or ideas for me to perhaps consider for this series. I can't promise that I will feel comfortable approaching every subject because I really want to come at this from my own experience so that I'm not making assumptions about other people's experiences. But I will certainly welcome all ideas and questions and suggestions, and I really look forward to sharing these different things that have really helped me in my experience of mental illness, and I really hope that you get something out of them too. So look out for those videos if it sounds like something that will interest you, and I'll talk to you all again really soon. So much love, guys. Bye.